Pretty chilly morning. I'm really happy to have that stove going though. It snowed almost all night too. I gotta get in and warm them up. We just put the tent back together here. This is how you would probably set it up. We got one cot on one side, one cot on the other side. Courtney just went out for morning pee. But she moved her cot all the way over here so she could basically feed the fire from a rested position because it got so cold. In the middle of the night, or actually by the morning, the damper had closed part way and it wasn't drawing too much air, so we did get a little bit of smoke come in, but that's because Courtney didn't understand the damper. And she was kind of feeding big logs in, and at some point in the night the logs had they weren't combusting as good too because the damper wasn't as open. So anyway, I've opened the damper up now. I fed a bunch of dry stuff in. That's nice and toasty in here. So I moved Courtney back. She probably will kind of have a little bit of a cat nap, I think, at this point, because she was up feeding the fire most of the night, because for her the heat was most important. For me, I probably didn't sleep as well anyway. I probably would have been better off feeding the fire, but it's neither here nor there. I would have been fine if the fire went out completely. I would have just done it a little bit differently. I wear my hood at night. I wear a toque hood, you know, long pajama pants, socks, and I make sure I have them dry before I go to bed. That's pretty crucial. And then the fire is more like a luxury. But it's minus 9 Celsius this morning. I'm going to give you guys a little lesson about Celsius so that we don't have to do this again. So you don't have to convert it anyway. So listen, Celsius goes like this. Minus 40 is really cold. 0 is the freezing point. Plus 40 is really hot. Okay, so work this out. Plus 40 is really hot. 0 is the freezing point. Minus 40 is really cold. Today is minus 9. Okay, minus 20 is pretty cold. Plus 20 is pretty warm. Okay, so minus 9, we're kind of like, it's kind of cold. It's not super cold. It could get colder than that. You know, like plus 10 is a really nice spring day. Plus 20 is a really nice summer day. Plus 40 is a really hot summer day. Minus 40 is a really cold winter day. Minus 20 is a pretty cold winter day. Minus 10 is like, okay, it's a pretty cold fall day, but it's a pretty warm winter day. So it's kind of in between. So minus 9 today is the overnight, but it's going to 0, which is the freezing point. So a 0 is like, you know, in the winter it's pretty warm, but in the fall it's pretty cold. So anyway, that's where we're at as far as temperatures today. So it's going to be the coldest this morning, obviously minus 9. Once we get through that, we'll have some warmer temps, and because we have an overcast day, that things are going to, once they start heating up, they'll retain the heat. It's a little bit on the windy side. The snow, I would guess, would probably dissipate. It snowed all night last night. So at some point we were knocking the tent off just to get the snow out, because it was continuously falling. It was just driving me nuts. So I had Courtney pound on one side, I pounded on the other side. But everything's rocking right now. The fire is nice and hot. And the slush situation, there's a little bit of slush, mostly around the stove. I think if we had to stay another night, we'd probably run into the same issues as before. But with the cots, it worked really well. I mean, aside from my top sleeping bag falling off the one side and getting a little bit damp, which I don't really use the edges of the sleeping bag anyway, so it's not a big deal. I think it worked out really well. I really like these cot system. The cot system, that's by Teton.
Good morning.
Good morning. How was your pee?
Fine, thank you.
Is it cold?
For me?
Is it cold?
Pretty cold, but it's beautiful out there.
It's beautiful?
So much snow yesterday.
Yeah, it snowed all night.
Yeah.
I like the fire.
It's nice. Very warm.
Nice to be able to go out and then come back in and have warm hands.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you sleep?
Not great, but not because it was cold or anything. Just I didn't have a pillow. That contributed. The cot's comfortable though.
What do you do now? Read a book?
Probably.
Have some breakfast?
Maybe.
Most of the stuff I wanted to get done was like get Courtney introduced to the hot tent and let her know that it's, you know, pretty comfortable, right?
It is. It's really comfortable.
And
Really cozy.
we've done overnight trips. You want to talk about the overnight ones we did to this lake, like the Quincy?
Yeah. So we figured 17 years ago we came out to the same lake, built a Quincy. It was really cold. You remembered it was minus 25?
Minus 25.
Yeah.
Minus 25 Celsius, so that's really cold overnight.
Really cold. And then we did another one where Chris built this really elaborate shelter on the lake. And that was the year before. So it's been years since I winter camped. But this is luxurious in comparison.
We have beds.
Yeah. And a stove inside.
Yeah, and the setup's a pain in the butt. The teardown is going to be a pain in the butt. Packing in extra gear, it's all a pain in the butt. So I would suggest if you're doing it like 2 nights is probably good, right? Now we could relax today, cut a little bit of wood, hang around.
Right.
And then it kind of makes it worthwhile. But I mean, most people only have a weekend anyways, and that's what we're doing. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? If you want to have the luxuries of home, then you have to be burdened by the luxuries of home. But it's nice to go in the summer too, when we can go a lot lighter, but then there's mosquitoes. So, which do you prefer? Do you want cold or do you want mosquitoes? That's why I really prefer camping in the fall, because all that's done. So for anybody who's asked about mosquitoes and bugs, August, definitely. September, October, November, those are still really good temperatures for camping, and there's no bugs. So that'd be my recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
There's tender meat now. Most people would probably ignore the torso, but you see along the back, there's back straps that you couldn't get off with a knife. While it's fresh, you can easily get off as it's stewed. So again, you guys talk about over and over again, why do we stew? Well, we stew because it gets absolutely everything off. And then I wouldn't throw this out. What I would do is throw it back in the stew, and then all those little pieces of meat would end up in the stew, and even between the rib cage here will be edible. So I mean, that's a piece of meat, and there's nothing wrong with that. So stewing is really the ideal way of doing it for that reason. You don't have to throw anything out. And then if you don't want something and it's not edible in that form, back in the pot, it'll tenderize, all fall apart. That's the whole thing, the whole meal right there. To a small child anyway. Some people say I look like Tormund from Game of Thrones. So the spruce boughs did a pretty good job around the stove. There's a little bit of a puddle forming here, but the skid logs did a good job. We have got piles of wood left. So mostly the water is kind of just over in here, but it's dry, it's slippery over here. And I think probably another day and we would be wanting to move or be camped on shore. But I mean, if you want to do a day trip on the ice in a hot tent, I think you're perfectly fine. Just do the skid logs, spruce boughs all around, insulate it real well. And you can see our setup here with the cots. We've got cot on one side, cot on the other side, and that works really well too. So we're just packing up now. So I think on our way out, we'll take you guys down to their survival shelter we made just around the corner here. Have a peek. We'll leave our sleds up here. We got another line down, which is not surprising. It's like non-stop line down, but I did want to set up around our survival shelter initially because we caught better trout there. They're better fish, but the drawback would be that we would be in the wind constantly, whereas here we're sheltered. So I did have to make that trade-off. I'm glad I did though. This trip really wasn't about fishing. It really was about camping out. So I don't think that was a mistake. Alright guys, so we're all packed up. Now some of you guys may have watched our survival challenge. Our survival challenge is actually just filmed around the corner. So what I want to do is I want to go take a tour around. Since we have lots of time, I want to go check out to see if our survival shelter stood the test of time. So obviously we've had lots of snow, even just in the last day. But I want to see if it lasted the season. I'm interested to see how much snow it could hold, if it held at all. So we're going to go straight out this way and then I'm going to make a beeline. We're going to ditch the sleds right here and then we'll continue down there. So join us. I think that'll be a concluding scene. We had a good trip, caught one trout, but that's to be expected. If we camped at a different place, I think we would have done better, but then again, we would have been in the wind. This really wasn't about fishing. This was about hot tenting, and I wanted to bring Courtney out to get her used to the idea, and maybe it's something that she'll do again. So let's go check out that shelter. Pretty exciting. Just getting in the woods here now. Check out our fort. Oh, you can see it. It looks like it's standing up. Let's have a look at this. There you go. Look at that. It's actually better than before. Check that out. A nice little den in there. So our fort standed the test of time. Not a fort, survival shelter.
And stood. It's pretty impressive, actually.
It's actually like a really cool shelter. We should have probably just camped here.
Yeah, we should have.
Although it is a lot windier here.
Yeah, definitely. Good thing we're on the other side of the lake.
Not so bad in the woods though. We can hear the wind cutting through. It's basically coming down the lake this way, so we made a good choice. So, look at that. How about that? How about that?
How about that?
How about that? That's pretty good. I'm impressed. I thought there was a pretty good chance it was toppled over, so.
I didn't. I knew all along. It's the best shelter I ever built.
Only shelter. Okay guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the trip, and maybe if you guys leave nice comments, you'll come back.
You never know.
Maybe a summer trip.
That'd be nice.
It's almost summer.
Uh-huh.
Alright, bye guys.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for joining me again. Back by popular request, my wife.
Say it again.
That was good.
Popular request.
So, hey guys, stay tuned. Lots of action.
Lots of action.
Lots of action.
Action.
You guys want her to come back? Here she is. We're up north ice fishing, and we've got the hot tent all set up. It's nice and toasty. Come join us. This is a good adventure.
This is a good adventure.
You want her to come back? Here she is. So we came up north. We're on a back lake, woods kind of lake. No. Okay. Hey guys, we're back up north. Hey, guess what guys? We're back up north, and who joined me?
I did.
My wife. You guys wanted to come back? Here she is. So we're up north on a back lake, fishing for some trout, and we got the hot tent. It's all fired up, nice and warm. You guys gonna join us or what? Or what? Maybe?
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Stick around. Have some Northern Ontario action. Yes?
Not that kind of action.
No, not that kind of action. Not this time. That was the last time. This time is like just fishing.
And hot tenting.
And hot tenting. Hot tenting.
And we have a special guest.
Oh yeah, guess what? We'll have a special guest. Who could it possibly be? Hey guys, guess what? We're back up north and go and winter hot tent camping. And guess what? My wife came back too.
I did.
Back by popular request. So guys, join us on some ice fishing action, hot tent action, and the beauty and splendor of the north. Just do serious.
Oh, look at the background, so pretty.
We do this way with the tent.
That's really close.
Back up a little bit, I won't focus that close, I think. Right there. Don't do a serious one in the lens.
Okay.
Serious one in the lens?
Woo!
Camera lens again.